The love that we get from the audience, it's unconditional. How I feel about blogging full time, the market here is quite volatile. So, 1 month I will be having collaborations raining onto me, and then I'll have a month where I literally have nothing to do.
Shahrukh Khan, being such a gentleman that he is,
Right.
he saw my mom struggling with me in one hand. She's pregnant and it's got her footwear in her hand.
Right.
He was about to enter the lift.
Okay.
He saw my mom struggle and he came and he helped my mom out on the way out.
Khuda na khasta, what if a pandemic hits us again? And where will I be then? Because I'm a marketer.
Hello and welcome, guys. Today we have a dear friend, you can say, Ayesha with us. She is a pretty famous social media personality. We will get into who she is, what does she do, why did she start doing what she does, and get to learn the ropes about how one can market themselves better and have a greater footprint on social media. So hi Ayesha, thank you for agreeing to be on our podcast.
Hi Fuju, thank you so much for the opportunity firstly.
You're welcome.
Right. So a little bit about myself. I'm a digital marketer. That's something that I do full time. But I also blog about food. Food blogging is something that I've been doing since the past 3 years. After which I decided to have my own marketing agency, me along with another friend, also a fellow blogger. We started off our own marketing agency. It's been 8 months now, and we've been catering to a couple of F&B brands here in Hyderabad. And I think everything, like the entire journey has been like a roller coaster ride, from being a food blogger to being a marketer. So yeah, I think that's...
Nice. So you've told your body of work. Now let me break it down and dissect and try to understand. Let's get into your mind.
Sure.
Okay. So what made you first choose digital marketing, like you said, is your main career profession, right?
Right.
What made you pick that?
So I think there's sales and there's marketing. I was very confused if I want to get into sales, if I want to get into marketing. But I think marketing is something that has kind of interested me since the start. Like even when I used to watch an advertisement, I used to feel like, okay, what is the thought that went behind that ad? Okay. Or, what made that ad campaign successful? That's something that I used to think. And then very little things. Okay. If I'm just looking at this cup right now, I'll be thinking, okay, how's the logo made? Or, what's the thought behind the branding that goes into it? So I think a little bit of zeal and, a little bit of what I wanted to do always came from the fact that I wanted to get into marketing. Nice. And that's why I chose my career that way. Like I did my master's in sales and marketing so that I could still have both the options open.
Yes.
And then when I got into marketing and I did a lot of internships also in marketing. So that's when I got to know that, okay, this is what I want to be. This is what I want to do.
Nice.
Right.
So since I'm making these podcasts for people to, watch value content,
right,
I want you to differentiate between sales and marketing because a lot of people get confused between what these two things are.
Right. So if I simplify it to the most grassroots level, sales is when you are actually selling that product to the ultimate customer, the end customer. And marketing is the means that you choose to kind of create that brand visibility to kind of get that product sold.
Nice.
So that's where marketing comes into picture, and it is as equally, or I can say it's equally or even more important than sales itself.
Because people need to be aware of the product or the service, whatever you're trying to sell.
Yes.
So for you, I know you like marketing more, but for you, what do you feel is better, or what are you more naturally talented at? You're talented at selling a product or you're talented at placing a brand?
Because I've done both the things, it's very convenient for me to say that I'm not very good at, selling. Yeah. So it's marketing for me.
Okay. But that brings me to a question. Like you said, you have your own side hustle of, your own digital marketing, you can say, the brand Zedge. So with Zedge, you are helping people place their brand in a better position and reach, right?
Yes.
But for that, you will need to convert those people for your business.
That's
so
true.
You are selling Zedge to them.
Right.
So how do you manage to do that? Like you said, if you're not a good salesperson, how are you doing that?
Right. So I think for me, it's, when I'm going on a pitch also, when I'm going to pitch the clients, it comes very naturally to me. The goal that I have in my mind is not that I am going there to sell the offering, but it's more like, okay, this is just going to be an experience where I'm, going to open my heart out and I'm going to explain to them what my offering is exactly about. So even if that conversion does not close, I know that I've done a good job out there. And I think when it comes to sales, another thing that also helps is that my co-founder, he's somebody who also comes with a different expertise. So that way we kind of balance it out, I can say. Yeah.
Nice. So now you have your advantages. You have been working in the same field.
Right.
Alongside you were blogging. So you had a good digital footprint.
Right.
Now with this work experience and brand exposure of your own,
right,
you have been able to start a business and navigate it.
Correct.
Right. Now let us assume there is someone who's doing something else for a job. Let's just say there's a software engineer.
Okay.
And now they want to get into blogging.
Right.
Now, how would you advise them to start? This I'm asking from a layman perspective. And next thing is, if they have started, when do you feel is the right time for them to let go and get into full-time content creation or blogging or whatever? Because there's a risk to benefit ratio, I believe.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So how would you weigh that and what would you advise them?
Right. So I think firstly, I would like to touch upon a point like how I feel about blogging full-time. The market here is quite volatile. So, 1 month I will be having collaborations raining onto me, and then I'll have a month where I literally have nothing to do.
Okay.
For example, Ramzan was a great month for me in terms of collaborations also. Like a lot of good brands reached out to me. But now if you ask me now, I literally don't have anything that I'm looking forward to in terms of collaboration. So I am somebody who will not rely on blogging as a career full time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that narrative is kind of changing now. People are kind of moving. And if you see in other cities as well, like in Delhi, Mumbai, there are people who are kind of doing it full time. So I think for a layman, what I would suggest is that if you are somebody who's good and who's, who wants to get into this field, then you just have to start. And I think once you have that consistency in you, once you start building that brand name for yourself, you get recognized automatically. People around you start noticing you. You start being called in sessions. You start sitting, with people and then it picks up. But you have to come up with some kind of, I can say that, you want to achieve this, okay? You want to be a food blogger, then you have to have a little bit of knowledge as to, what is it that you want to kind of put out there? What is the kind of content that you want to get into? So if you're clear about the basics, after that, it's just consistency and the quality of the content that you're putting out to kind of stand out in the market.
I was about to come to this topic next, which was now with Zetch, okay? Not with accordance to your social media page, with Zetch. You know food good.
Yes.
You know the F&B industry pretty much at the back of your hand right now. How difficult is it for you as a owner of Zedge to market and position a brand that sells or deals in a product or a service which you're not much aware of? Let's just say you have not much knowledge about meditation and you onboard a client that deals with a meditation app.
Right.
That will come with challenge because you don't know that industry by the back of your hand.
That's
you don't
true.
practice it maybe.
That's true, yeah.
And you don't know how that app works, what kind of service they provide and stuff.
Right.
So what kind of market research and brand and product research do you do before you onboard them?
Right. So I think that's one of the reasons why I don't have a non-F&B brand on board as of yet.
Okay.
But yeah, the future, the future goals are definitely to kind of venture out and have other, clientele on board, like who are just non-food brands. So I think a lot of market research, like you said, goes in. And, for example, if you want to get into fashion, if you want to venture out into fashion, then you need to know, what it is exactly. You need to study the market. You need to study what the competitors are doing. You have to do a lot of competitor analysis. You need to have a team which at least has some basic knowledge as to what is fashion.
Yeah.
And I think in influencer marketing wise, there's already a network where, I know some fashion influencers and I kind of can get into touch with them, I think it all starts when you just pick up the phone and you just give a call and you try to understand what it exactly is. Even if you don't know a particular industry, if you've not been into it, it does not, it might take a lot of time to kind of understand what the market is. But once you do, the basic formulas that go in are pretty much the same. At the end, it's all about putting the brand on the map and kind of getting that visibility. So I think once you do enough research, you talk to people, the more you talk, the more conversations you have, that's where you understand, what is it exactly that, where do you want to take the brand to? And I think everything after that becomes easier.
So that must be a great advantage to you. Like you said, one phone call away and you get a lot of info because you are well networked in the blogging community. So that brings me to a question. What is the community like?
So very
What's
tricky
what's
question
the
too.
no? You can be bare open and tell us the
Okay.
good, the bad, the ugly.
So I think the industry in a way has given me a lot, if you ask me. Whatever I have, whatever little I have achieved as of yet, I owe to the industry. Because if I would have not been a food blogger, I would have never started my own marketing agency. It kind of gave me that initial push
Yes.
and the confidence to kind of, I think I can do something out here.
Yes.
But at the same time, there are people who will try to pull you down. That will always be there. Like every other industry or like every other, job, you have the drawbacks as well.
Yes.
But I think what helps is to kind of understand that whatever you are doing out here is for a reason.
Yeah.
And don't let all of that, get to your heads. Because once it does, then it becomes very difficult to survive. You will have a lot of people, you will have a lot of voices around you saying that, saying mean things about you. There will be things going out in a wrong way. And there will be a lot of wrong things going out about you. But I think the only good thing to do is kind of turn a blind eye towards it and, just be there and do your own thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
But what, keeps pushing you to do this?
I think the audience, the love that we get from the audience, it's unconditional. And it's very sweet, when somebody recognizes you, you're out there, This one time I was with my mom and this one girl, she came up to me and she said that, okay, we know, like I know you, my family knows you, we follow you. And then she took a picture with me. And so my mom was quite happy. And these little moments when somebody kind of comes up to us or somebody texts us saying that, we saw you there and, we were very shy, we were hesitant to come and say hi to you. But yeah, so these are the things, the love that the audience gives kind of is the biggest motivator factor, I can say. Why do we make reels? Because we want the audience to see it. And when they don't, we kind of get demotivated. So it's all like that.
Yeah. So now, from the perspective of someone who wants to start a brand like you.
Right.
And maybe they don't have that, you have a personal brand of yourself,
right.
which kind of propelled you, right? And gave you the confidence also to start Zedge.
Right.
So now let's just say I'm a layman person. I feel I will be able to help a lot of brands benefit by starting my own marketing agency and branding agency and stuff like that. But it involves a lot of risks.
Right.
So what were the major risks for you to keep into account before you started Zedge?
So I think, to be honest, I did not have any risk factor as such because I was working full time already.
Yeah.
Right. But it becomes very difficult if you have a 9-to-5 job and then you have to start something. That's where you have to question yourself if this is what you really, is this something that you really want to do?
Yeah.
And if you actually want to kind of, just resign from your job and start this. But I think sometimes it's good to take risks. If your gut feeling says that, okay, this is something where I can create, this is the space where I can work. This is where I can create a name. Then I think you should just go ahead and do it. I think you can just sit, for 6 months, you're not doing anything, but you're just brainstorming on, how to create it, how to create it from scratch, how to build a team. And then eventually you start working towards it. At one point, it will reap the benefits.
Yeah. But how long do you think that phase is? Because a lot of people, I think a lot of the viewers, they might be in that, that grace phase in the beginning where you start and nothing is happening.
Right.
And they're this close to like giving up. What would you tell them?
So I think, okay, so I don't want to sound like, this is not prepared, okay?
Okay.
But there's this one quote which I always like, even when I used to give my interviews for my masters, this is something that I always used to say. And so there's this show, okay, it's a sci-fi show, The 100. I don't know if you've watched it, but yeah, okay, so it's a show called The 100. So there's this one quote which says, slay your demons when you're awake, so they won't be there to get to you when you're asleep. So it's written in my room as well.
Nice.
So I feel that it's very important for you to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations to kind of face your fears. I know it's easier said than done, but yeah, it is very important. If you think that you cannot do this, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
I think that's where it all starts. To kind of put yourself in those situations, not knowing what is there for you, in the future, what's in store for you. I think you just have to just go ahead and do it. You have to have that confidence in yourself.
True.
So I think that's where it all begins.
But I also feel that when you start out, you have lesser to lose. So you're slightly more confident.
Right.
But when you get to a place, now you start fearing losing.
Right.
So how do you feel then? How do you deal with that?
So I think there's always that, sometimes, if you just see the COVID scenario, now if I sit and think, what if Khuda na khasta, what if a pandemic hits us again? And where will I be then? Because I'm a marketer at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So if the F&B industry goes for a toss, my business goes for a toss.
Yeah.
As much as I say that future is digital and I would like to believe it, it's still there will always be that some things are just inevitable. It's not in my hand. But I think what I like to believe is that in the present, everything is going quite smoothly. I think this is also one of the reasons why I feel that everyone should have multiple sources of income. Like, it's always good to kind of venture out into a couple of things. कि आपके हाथ हर जगह होने चाहिए, so that okay, अगर ये नहीं है तो I have something else.
Just so like how a ship has multiple lifeboats.
Yeah. So that's also something that I believe in, right? It can be as small as, if you're somebody who wants to sell brownies and you kind of want to start it off. I think today would be a good day to kind of start brainstorming it. And once you start it, I think you will know that, okay, even if it's little, it can be something big, in the future. You never know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But this is something I never shared on camera. But you are 8 months into starting your own business. Till date, I have been in the fitness industry for almost a decade now. I own about 3 businesses by myself with no partners. So I have this nightmare majority relating to the studio.
Okay.
And it wakes me up at night many times.
Okay.
I get a dream. I have built this place from scratch. I have seen it being bare and then being made into what it is today.
Okay.
And I get this dream that at night something happened and the labor has come in and they have ripped the whole place apart saying we'll fix it.
Okay.
And it's morning 5:30. My clients are about to arrive. I come down and there's nothing.
Okay.
It's like an empty shell.
Okay.
The roof is all broken, the floor is all gone, there's no equipment in the studio, and clients are like super pissed off. Okay. And I am someone who doesn't like to, if a person is actually coming to me for a service, I want to give them top notch.
Right.
And they are here outside the door and they're asking what the hell happened.
Okay.
And that wakes me up. I wake up like drenched in sweat.
Right.
So do you have any kind of these nightmares or anything bad related to your business or your page? Or something?
To be honest, no. Because I think even when it comes to blogging or even when it comes to Zedge, in my head, I don't give it that importance. I always feel that it's good. Whatever I have right now, I think I'm doing good. Obviously, there are goods and bads. I've had challenges even when it comes to my marketing agency. For example, this one time we wanted to do a stand-up comedy show for a client. Okay. So that was the worst time to do a stand-up comedy show because there was a controversy regarding stand-up comedy happening at that moment pertaining to a particular controversial comedian.
I think I know who you're talking about.
You might. Yes. Okay. So this started to blow up. We had been promoting it for quite some time now. We had to fill in at least 35 to 40 tickets. And we were only on 6 or 7 tickets 24 hours before the event. And these were one of the initial activities that we were doing for the brand or as a brand also. Like as Zetch also, this was one of those initial days and one of the biggest challenges had come up. And I think I didn't know what to do. It was the worst nightmare. Like in my mind, I was selling tickets. Okay. Yeah. So you know that, right? Ab kal exam hai to ek din pehle you get all of these thoughts where you're just, thinking ki arey maths ke formulas chal rahe pure dimag mein. So that was that situation. But I think in the end, I feel that it all happens. It all works out. And my friends came through, I think, a big, there's a big contribution that comes from my friends also. When I talk about friends, not just my blogging friends, like, Juveria, there's Dr. Foodie, there's Zest of Hyderabad, there's Delish Eateria. I think not just them, but also my school friends have been like really supportive. And I think all of them came through. We all made some calls and we sold those tickets. I bought a ticket for myself and my partner bought a ticket for himself. And that's how we were able to touch 30-35 number. And we were able to pull that show off successfully. So I think in the end, it all kind of makes sense is what I would like to believe in. Right.
But no such nightmares.
No such nightmares as of yet.
Nice. You'll eventually get there. I feel like the more you hold on to things, that much more you fear of losing one.
The
everything.
Fear of losing it. Yeah. That will be there. Yeah. Yes. That will be there.
So, with Zedge and your page, and your personal brand now, what is the next goal for you? With Zetch, I'm pretty sure it'll be to grow the brand, onboard more people, venture just out of F&B and stuff. But what is your end goal in terms of reaching a certain level of professional satisfaction?
Right. I think, firstly, I would like to believe that whatever I've achieved so far, I'm still not there yet, I feel. There's so much to do. So even if somebody comes up to me and kind of recognizes me, it's always nice. But I always feel that there's so much yet to achieve. Yes. I always feel there's so much space here in Hyderabad to kind of, to build your own name. So I think in terms of food blogging, if you ask me, there's so much I want to do. I always feel that, I want to shoot a video like this. I'm just scrolling through reels and I'm coming up, I'm just seeing some video and I'm like, I want to shoot something like this. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the time right now, but I want to do it.
Yes.
Like, I just want to kind of go and, explore some hidden places, kind of just create some content which is out of the box. Right now I'm following just like pattern. It's pretty mundane for me right now. I want to kind of get out of it and create some exciting content for my audience also.
Yes.
And I think in terms of blogging, if you ask me, that's something that I want to do. There's so much yet to kind of achieve at that end as well. Even for Zedge, I want to kind of not just be limited to a social media marketing agency, but I also want to be a creative ad agency where I'm able to kind of, create a brand language also for the brands and also kind of get into the whole ads thing where, I have ad experts on board who can take care of running ad campaigns in terms of Google ads also I'm talking about. So these are the things that I've planned in future.
SEO, and you want to get into all of that.
So for now, it's all kind of limited to social media, if I can say. But that's something that I want to kind of venture out into and also get a lot of non-food brands also on board. So
if I were to ask you, what is that one brand that you want to get on board with, like your dream right now, what would you say? It can be from any industry.
It can be from any industry.
It could be a brand owned by a celebrity also. That would just be like, I have reached somewhere.
Then it would be being human. I know it's impossible.
You're a Salman Khan fan.
I am, yeah.
Nice. So I asked this question because lately a lot of people have been asking me, like, when do you think or when do you feel you will arrive?
Right.
Like, what is your end goal with this podcast and stuff like that? And I've never said this on camera. I have basically started creating podcast one because of my team.
Right.
He's pushed me a lot, knowing how uncomfortable I am with the camera. And the second thing is, since I am my major foothold is the fitness and wellness industry.
Right.
We believe that what you consume through your mouth is what will impact your body, right? Likewise, what you consume visually and via your ears is something that is much more greater than what you eat.
Right.
So I wanted to create quality content that reaches people and also helps people navigate.
Right.
Now, maybe after watching this podcast, a lot of people who want to get into a digital marketing firm, who want to work or even start their own, they'll get a clear idea whether it is for them or not. And if they figure out it's for them, they'll probably be able to understand things. And if they have any queries, they can get in touch with you and you can guide them. So it's a benefit for both of us and also for the viewers. Right. But then they started asking me, who is that one person you want to get on a podcast with? And you'll be like, okay, you have arrived.
Yeah.
So I have never admitted this, but I feel I will arrive after I do a podcast with Shahrukh Khan.
Okay,
I'm saying this on camera today so that when it actually happens, I can show this to him, and I want to show him a picture.
Okay.
I have a picture of him carrying me when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
They were shooting for this movie called Badshah.
Okay, yeah.
After which he actually arrived, I feel.
Okay.
They were shooting in Hyderabad.
Okay.
My dad's sister, that is my puppu. I call her Ani.
Okay.
She was in college. So, they were huge fans of Shahrukh Khan. My mom used to have a collection of all his movies, music cassettes and stuff.
Right.
And my granddad and all, they were pretty strict with, like college, don't run behind all of this. They made up a fake story. My mom went to her college, pick kare.
Acha.
There to Taj Deccan, I think.
Okay.
And he was shooting for a scene where he has to shoot the Prime Minister in the movie.
Okay.
And we arrived and they were trying to get in touch with him. Weren't able to because pura crew tha and all of that. Thoda disheartenment hona start hua and the mood started coming down, and Shahrukh Khan, being such a gentleman that he is, he saw my mom struggling with me in one hand, she's pregnant and it's got her footwear in her hand.
Right.
He was about to enter the lift.
Okay.
He saw my mom struggle and he came and he helped my mom out on the way out.
Right.
So I have a picture of him he was wearing a black leather jacket with his fake tag that he uses to get in and, gets a gun and all.
Yeah.
So they were shooting that and that is there. So that is one thing that I want to show it to him and have him on my podcast one day.
That's so sweet.
And probably then I will feel like, ठीक है, कुछ Salman मेरे को push करने का, there is some benefit. And obviously when people watch the content and, a lot of people message, like recently I had a podcast with a cardiologist.
Okay.
And I personally, until I didn't meet him, I had no idea that smoking can have a greater effect on your heart and not just lungs.
Right.
Believe me or not, people of all age groups, unknown people have messaged me saying I'm going to quit smoking. And that was so heartwarming that, okay, people are not just learning, they're ready to imply, even if they don't do it.
Right.
I hope they do, but even if they don't do that one message saying I'm going to quit smoking, that's a big statement.
Right.
So now slowly that, minor satisfaction has started coming, saying, कोई तो देख रहा, कोई तो validate कर रहा, कोई तो कुछ अच्छा impact हो रहा content का. But then there are bad days where you feel like, content is not reaching.
क्या चल
रहा अपन इतने घंटे लगा के कंटेंट बनाए, because you make shorter format content, for you also it takes few hours.
It does.
Imagine when we shoot content for 2-3 hours and then edit, my team has to work, we have to push it and stuff like that. And when people don't watch, those days sometimes you question yourself, is it really worth it?
I know, right? That happens to
me.
me.
Tamjham, you do the setup and stuff like that. So you eat food, you market for F&B and all. How good of a cook are you?
So I'll tell you what, I'm that lockdown
lockdown
chef. And I used to make all these kebabs, okay? I used to call up my puppus, and so my puppus, my mom, my grandmother, everybody, they cook so well. They're great cooks. And I used to call up my puppus and, I used to ask them for some quick recipes and all of that. And I used to just make kebabs and stuff, okay? So even if you ask me now, my mom is like, khali kebab kha ke pet bharte kya? Roti, salan, dal, chawal, kaun banate? And then I'm that person who'll always want somebody in the kitchen with me. Okay, just mummy ye thoda wo karke de do. So I'll want an assistant. So she'll be like, tumha kuch banana hai to tum khud banao. And you have to, own it up like a task and do it yourself. So I'll be like, I'll need help, okay? Mummy ye karke de do, sab karke de do. And then I'll be like, okay, I'll just do the आखिर में जो भी है
garnishing and stuff.
And then I'll take the credit.
So why didn't you get an idea of starting your own F&B business, not just digital, but
to be honest, that has always been the plan, to be honest.
Okay.
And I hope inshallah one day I'm able to kind of get there. But yeah, that has always been the plan, because somebody who's I'm a hardcore foodie. And always I'm just thinking about food. For lunch I'm thinking, what am I going to eat for dinner? So yeah, I think it has always been the plan to kind of come up, knowing the risks. I think now also being in the industry and kind of catering to a lot of clients, I've kind of understood what are the challenges that the F&B industry also faces.
Yes.
So it's kind of risky also to kind of get into that space. But I feel that once I get there, I have that kind of expertise and that confidence to start something of my own. Even if it's small, I want to. Yeah.
But the back end is something that's really challenging.
It is.
So let's talk about a little bit about business and numbers with you, since you're 8 months into your Zedge.
Right.
So from a perspective of a young kid in their 20s wanting to do something similar to what you do.
Okay.
Let's break it down into simpler terms. To start Zedge, let us assume I, as a fresher, have invested maybe 100 rupees.
Okay.
Now, what is the time in which I can expect my investment to come back?
Right.
What are the running costs as per you?
Right.
How much is on you? How much is on your client?
Right.
And after how long can one actually start to see results? I know there's no definitive time for it.
Right.
But given the kind of reach that you have, what can one expect?
Right. So I think initially when you're putting that investment in, and for the first couple of months, let's say for the first quarter, you cannot expect anything, because that's the zone where you're just creating that space for yourself. You're creating that brand name. And after that, I think in the second quarter is where you can kind of expect your money to at least come back to you. Okay. The running cost when it comes to, running a marketing agency is the money that you pay for the expertise that you outsource in terms of graphic designing, in terms of photography, in terms of videography, all of that. So that's something. And I think most of it also comes from how you utilize your resources.
True.
And I think after a year or so, you can kind of see those results coming back to you. You will see that growth that will gradually happen. And after that, it depends on the number of clients that you take on board. That's how it picks up.
So when can one actually start to see big numbers? After the first year, second year, third year?
Yeah, I think 1.5 year ideally is when you can kind of expect returns.
That's nice. So one very interesting question for you. I don't know how you're going to tackle this. What do you feel is the future of digital marketing? I know digital is the future, AI is coming in and all.
Right.
But what's going to happen in the future with digital marketing, especially with the interference of AI?
I think this is something that I would like to believe. ChatGPT ka example le lenge, okay? So I was very excited, okay, ChatGPT, all of that, okay, I'm going to give the right prompts and I'll get the, what I want from ChatGPT and all of that. But I think at the end, it all comes down to that personal touch that you add. And that is something that only humans can do. It's the skill, it's the expertise. At the end, you're dealing with a machinery over here.
Yes.
So as long as, you don't have that personal touch, you cannot connect with your audience anywhere, be it any business, be it your blogging or anything. To have that, emotional touch, to have, some human touch to it, human element to it, so that you can connect with your audience. That's something that AI can't do. And at the end, it all comes down to humans.
So what you're saying is emotional sells better than a product or a service.
Yeah. So I think it's a balance. You have to strike a balance between the two.
But how much do you think will people be open to the idea of using AI and not going for brands like you or others?
I think at the end, again, it comes down to, people with the same mentality. If you're dealing with a brand who thinks that, okay, I can do everything, then, you're welcome to. But then if you're somebody who knows that, there has to create a brand presence, there has to be a team that goes behind it and not just machines, then I think, it works that way.
So this brings me to a very interesting question. How difficult is it dealing with a variety of business owners now? Because when a brand, now let us put you out of the box of Zedge.
Right.
You are your own personal brand.
Right.
And F&B industry, some restaurant owner contacts you to come for a session, create content, give it to them and go.
Okay.
They will deal with you in a very different manner.
Right. Yeah.
Now, when you onboard them as a client for Zedge, they will behave, react and have different expectations from you.
Right.
So, how difficult is that to tackle and how often does it get too much stressful?
Almost every time it gets too much stressful because we deal with a lot of different people.
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes you don't have the patience to you just want to shut it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. You have those times. Okay.
Yes.
It comes down to a very small thing. When you're asking for a service, you have to pay on time. That's another challenge that we face. You don't get paid on time. There's also misconception that, food bloggers hai to shayad sirf free ka khana de do, they'll be okay with that. But that's not how it works. There have been times where I've literally bashed the, person talking to me saying that don't you think that I can go and buy food for myself? You're just telling me that, okay, ek +1 la lo khana de denge and you have to make a reel. You're demanding that you have to make a reel. So I'm like, that's not how it works. You have to pay for the service that I'm giving. Do you think I can't buy food for myself?
True.
So, you deal with a lot of people. Sometimes you lose your patience. Sometimes, you have to keep it up till the end of ho gaya. You don't have to see, you don't have to talk to them again after this. Yeah. Sometimes you have to just, be in that, okay, let's hold on for some more time. But yeah, I think a lot of people have to kind of open up when it comes to this. They have to kind of understand that, the influencer marketing space is something which is a very huge contributory factor to any business. And I've seen that. I've seen numbers increase for clients when influencer marketing came into picture.
But then I feel my interaction with content creators like you is slightly more than what the normal consumers do, thanks to me having friends in your industry.
Right.
My personal understanding, I could be wrong on this. Okay. My personal understanding is many a times business owners, not your viewer audience, the business owners forget to give you guys the kind of importance and respect you guys deserve for your work.
Right. So yeah, I think I've experienced like two different things here. I have seen business owners who've been very respectful of the work that we've, done out there. This one time I took my grandfather to this one cafe, and, he had a very good experience because the staff and, the point of contact was so respectful. He also kind of understood the kind of work that I'm, doing out there. Because, sometimes, he has this, okay, I'm coming home late. So I thought, okay, let me take him once, and, he should also experience, the kind of importance that you get out there. So there are business owners who've been very respectful, who've been very thoughtful also. But yeah, at the same time, there are people, like I said, who come with this mentality ki, kuch bhi de do, thanda de do, anything, just ye hai, ye shoot karo, chale jao.
Yeah.
And I think it is better to kind of evaluate that before you, sign up for something.
Yes.
That, what is the kind of party that you're dealing with. And if you get that feeling in the initial days, it's better to kind of not go ahead with that collaboration itself in the first place.
Yeah.
Because at the end, it all comes down to the integrity and respect. We're all working for that. So yeah.
So one last question before we pack this up. As a business owner, what are the qualities that you look for in a client before you work with them?
I think I look for only one quality, and it's that they should give us the creative freedom. I think once you get that creative freedom, everything from there becomes easier.
Yeah.
So I think that's something which is a good advantage, which plays in my favor, because a lot of my clients are somebody who do not nudge me in between when I'm doing something out there. They have that confidence in me. They have that confidence in us, and they know that whatever we do, we'll do for the betterment of the brand. So once you get that creative freedom, I think a lot of doors open up for you.
True.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for, agreeing to be on our podcast and being so insightful for our viewers and adding value to the content that we are creating. Now, one small question that I make sure to ask everyone who's been on the couch is, if you were to take away one feeling, one emotion, or one takeaway point from this whole experience, right from you getting ready to come down here to wrapping the session up, what is that one thing that you're going to take away with you?
I think it's a very good experience for me as well. Thank you so much for that. I've always imagined these scenarios in my head where I'm talking, like, I'm on a podcast, or, I'm on that, you watch Coffee with Karan, and then
this is not Coffee with Karan.
I know
this is a podcast.
not, yeah. So I've always imagined those scenarios where, I'm talking about my journey. I think, there's a little, I've been able to kind of share what I've been through and, the entire journey. So that's something that I've put out there. I don't know to what extent it would be useful for the audience, but I hope, it brings, it gives them that one feeling at least that, there's something to take away from it. I think I was very nervous before I came in, but I think it kind of, gave me the understanding that, okay, I have that confidence in me where I can still speak.
Sure.
And, I think the entire journey itself was kind of motivating for me as well, for my, personal self, to kind of put myself out there in front of the audience and talk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you do like our content, then please do like, share, comment.
And subscribe to projectyou.
And if you feel like our content is going to help any of your friends, then please make sure you share it with them.
Was that good?